Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Naz.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
And I'm Office Bloke Max.
Here we are, all three of us.
Aye.
If Patreon's your thing, check out the link in the description below. Loads and loads of stuff on there, starting for a bargain price of just
£1.50 a month.
We just started doing Curb Your Enthusiasm on there as well.
Oh, brilliant.
So very funny. So if you're into that, get over there and check it out.
Yeah, superb.
A bit of Casual Geographic.
Yeah, we do love this channel.
We do, absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's really
the ridiculously random nature of the gorilla.
I love gorillas.
Yeah, I've got a mate
Absolutely
who
incredible creatures.
he studies them.
Oh, really?
He goes out to I want to say it's Uganda or somewhere he goes, but he goes to Africa somewhere. And he's not like...
It won't be Rill or Stoke, will it? So, I mean,
no.
you're probably quite
Cheadle.
Yeah. Chester Zoo. That's one.
But yeah, he does it all. He studies them and he goes and lives there for months on end.
Yeah.
And does like all this thing about the gorillas. And
wow.
It's proper, when he talks to him, proper interesting guy.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Wow. Yeah, it's really interesting. Should we get into this anyway?
Absolutely. Yeah, do it.
Oh my god.
Oh, size up. Jeez.
The greatest trick
Have some of that.
convincing the world that gorillas were something to be scared of. Whole time it's an ADHD Uber ape built like a practical joke. The gorillini is the opposite of a sleeping bill. They look like a flash pass to being full-time horizontal, when really gorillas are unintentionally the most unserious animals on the planet. Almost every character trait that made them feared back in the day actually makes them adorably ridiculous when you have context. Like you've seen this picture, a gorilla beating its chest and maybe you next has to be one of the most intimidating sights in nature. The sound, though. That was not edited. Whole time this display sounds like an assault on bubble wrap. King Kong had you misunderstood. Only in a movie would you see this and hear the god of thunder. It's more like someone weaponizing bubble tea in a straw. Put on a blindfold and it's not threatening anybody but Bubble Buddy, because it sounds like his family flatlined by firing squad. It's fitting. It was widely believed that the peg pounding was considered an act of war, but newer research says that it might help gorillas avoid conflict. In a study done by
What are you doing?
The Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Germany, it was found that the biggest, most brolic mountain gorillas actually produce the sounds with the lowest frequency. Something about larger air sacs near the larynx, but it's considered an honest signal of competitive ability, and between two prime apes, the one with the higher frequency flesh tap might just tap out of a fight before it happens. So the chest beating actually allows smaller gorillas to avoid a fight they'd almost certainly lose, and lets gorillas choose the best option, since bigger males tend to be the first choice for intercourse. That's gonna be painfully ironic in a minute, but we'll get to that bridge. The other thing that apparently terrified early explorers into introverts was their jaw work. Gorillas have top 5 most inappropriate dental work for their profession, right up there with camels and the gelada monkey.
Camels?
It's almost a fine intervention that a lawnmower with limbs has a stronger bite force than lions, hyenas, and even a grizzly bear. And if you watch gorilla ASMR, you can literally see the muscles attached to the sagittal crest. That crest is why the gorilla has a built-in mohawk. Lucky for literally everybody, gorillas only use those vice grip jaws to crush about 40 pounds of food a day. And you'll never be more grateful for their grocery list until you watch one peel a tree like a banana. All that food would mean nothing if they didn't also have a host of gut bacteria to help break it all down. But because all that bacterial work also produces gas, gorillas are almost in a perpetual state of flatulence. A troop of IBS apes break more wind than a bloated beached whale, and it's so occasionally track traveling families through their southbound symphony. Scientists even used a gorilla-coded camera to gain insight into the secret society of this steroid simian, and what they found was that a well-fed family could blow a hole through the ozone layer. And out both ends. According to late gorilla expert Diane Fossey, gorillas burp as an act of goodwill and contentment. And you know, in some cultures, letting it out the attic is considered a compliment, but they might as well have gotten it from a knuckle-walking cow ape. On a less audibly offensive note, gorillas have also been recorded singing while they eat. Researchers refer to it as a chorus of appreciation. It's pretty cool, check it out.
Imagine how mad it'll be if we can understand what they were saying or doing.
I know, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
No.
And you could communicate then, couldn't you? Do the same back.
Imagine you walking around a forest hearing that.
I know,
Absolutely
right?
terrified how low it is.
Yeah. But it's they're crazy animals, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
bizarre.
Brilliant
It's like
animals,
the whole primate family, you know, and things like that. Just when you look at them and the behaviour and everything that goes with it, it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
You see where we get it from, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And to be fair, he's got a better singing voice than me. So,
no doubt, no doubt. I'm the same flatulence.
Basically living in their version of a giant gingerbread house has gorilla gangs singing out both ends. It's also a fact that they sing louder when eating their favorite foods like this banana tree stalk. And the funniest thing is, in the wild, the lead singer is actually the silverback. Science says he uses singing, or well, more like humming, to tell the
sounds
group
like-
when it's time to stop and eat. And you know the law. When Silverback speaks, everyone listens. And when he sings, it's time for fixings. But I'm not hungry. Okay, jeez. It makes sense. Few things are more dominant than the lead Silverback male. You know he's the one calling all the shots and making all the decisions for a troop of up to and sometimes over 30. One could say that is the peak male form. And you remember that painfully ironic thing I promised? Well, it's about that time, but before you judge me, I'm just gonna remind you that this is strictly educational. But I would feel weird if I didn't say this, so if you're a child, an adult with a child, or an adult who thinks they're a child, skip to this timestamp right here. Or don't, I can't stop you, but don't let your parents blame you if you don't. Here's an ad while you consider the cost of curiosity. So, fun fact about a silverback, they're the largest apes in the world, can weigh in the neighborhood of 500 pounds, and when their privates stand at attention, they're about 3/4 short of 2 inches. They don't just have the smallest waist snake of any ape, it's widely believed gorillas have the smallest member of any mammal relative to body size.
King Kong ain't got on me.
I promise you he doesn't. In fact, if we scaled for size, you have a better chance at Subway of seeing a foot long than from a Giga Kong. I swear I'm not just using this for richer jokes. There's actually a reason gorillas ended up hung like a hamster. When you look at how all the great apes measure up, you'll 1. End up on a list, incognito can't save you, but 2. You'll realize humans have more appendical advantages than just a long thumb.
Hey, how's it going?
Chimps, bonobos, and orangs are roughly about the same, but nature seemed to maliciously undercut gorillas in particular. Believe it or not, it's a direct reflection of how they live. Chimpanzees live in polyandrous packs where females can mate with multiple males, so there was evolutionary pressure for them to develop heavy huevos, since the more baby batter one can produce, the better chances one of his little swimmers wins the race to reality, which led to chimps having a massive man purse. I feel dirty. With humans, it's believed that earlier variants may have selected for the more...
So I'm guessing that phrase, balls bigger than King Kong, doesn't mean shit, does it?
No, not at all.
Not sure I've heard that saying before.
It's in a song as well.
Oh, is it?
It's one of the Black Grape songs.
Yeah.
Got
can
balls
imagine.
bigger than King Kong. But it's a lot of people say, don't these balls bigger than King Kong?
Yeah.
But it's a
It's a fallacy, then. Clearly.
correct.
groinally gifted, especially with humans being more bipedal. It'd probably be more of a factor. Eventually, that led to humans having more to flex under the waistband than just 9mm. But with gorillas, it's different. They often live in harems where all the females in a group practice their multiplication tables with the one silverback, which means they didn't have the selective pressure of dealing with other males like chimps, or even the pressure of females having a choice like humans. Also, another theory is that a larger Nixon might have helped shovel out rival Nectar. Again, something a back of silver doesn't have to worry about. It actually ties back to the chest beating. Being an absolute unit was already so much of a flex that evolution didn't have to juice their stats in other ways. But unfortunately, it means gorillas are built like an anti-steroid ad. But also consider this, silverbacks are the embodiment of what podcast bros call an alpha male. If humans were truly meant to take cues from them, forget Snickers, we'd be packing a Skittle. And with that, I am going to power wash my search history. Also, silverbacks aren't the aggressive jocks that movies made them out to be. Turns out, they're a lot more involved in raising children than we thought. Research actually shows that if a gorilla were to lose its mother, as long as it still isn't living off her milk, they'd still have an equal shot at surviving. It's cause silverbacks don't give child support, they are the child support. It's even been proven that gorillas are more attracted to the sensitive, child-nurturing males, and not really the aggressive bully types. Which is probably why they put up with so much disrespect, and why the father instinct might not just apply to gorillas. You might remember in 1986, a child fell into a gorilla enclosure, crazy how often that happens, and 400-pound Yumbo went over and tried to comfort the unconscious boy. Even when the boy came to and understandably panicked, instead of wilding out at the sudden disturbance, Yumbo calmly guided the other gorillas to a corner of the enclosure while first responders rescued the boy. Ironically, this was during a time when
crazy,
the majority
isn't it?
thought gorillas were bloodthirsty savages patrolling the underbrush of Africa. That literally could not have been further from the truth. In fact, it led to one of the most infuriating arguments I keep letting myself get baited into. Anytime someone brings up gorilla versus grizzly, all I can think is, you don't know gorillas, and you really don't know grizzlies. Forget bears, there's cases of leopards causing problems for a plus-size primate, with records finding past tense gorillas with puncture wounds around the head and neck. Now, leopard attacks on a full-grown male are rare. But if a 150-pound big cat is a genuine threat, a 10-foot, 900-pound revenant plot device would slaughter a roid monkey. And really, the more you think about it, the more disrespectful the question is. Y'all stay playing on a grizzly's body, especially since the gorilla himself wouldn't even want that smoke. For all that bulk, they'd definitely rather run away than run a fade. Imagine thinking they can match up with a grizzly when gorillas can get humbled by a change in weather. And I just love that gorillas in captivity and in the wild have no problems playing in the water, but when it falls out the sky, it's suddenly unacceptable. Also, I don't know if you've seen that corgi that gave its owner a heart attack until she realized the only victim was a jar of jam. Turns out gorillas might have done the same to early explorers. One could only imagine seeing the blood-soaked fangs of this behemoth up close, only to realize gorilla grills come from the tannins in their diet, and for reference, tannins are the same ingredient that makes coffee bitter. And I think that's just gorillas in a nutshell. They look like they could do an absolute number on the human population, but I cannot find one verified case of a gorilla murking a person. Attempts may have been made, but if you watch this video, you know she basically begged for it. Plus, it's captivity. In the wild, you actively have to try to get gorilla gloves put on you. They genuinely give you every possible warning before they do. And even if you ignore the chest beat, the flashing teeth, and all the other signs a gorilla might give you, usually the most they'll ever do is bluff charge. Now, let me not be ridiculous.
I take it a chance.
No chance.
Jigsaw puzzle. And for all I'm talking, a bluff charge from a gorilla would have my soul pump faking the higher power. But gorillas got stuck with the monster label, which means it distracted people from the fact that they're the most unserious animals on earth. What do I mean? You remember what I said about silverbacks being fathers? Well, this is Hauko. Hauko is a proud father of 4 who loves nothing more than to play with his children. Problem is, sometimes his mate isn't too eager to let him rock with such a small baby, so in all of Hauko's infinite wisdom, he came up with a solution. He f***ing kidnapped her. Repeatedly. And yes, he did this with all his children, proving it really is a game to him. I'm sorry, you can't, you're telling me I'm supposed to be afraid of this? This is chronically unserious, but not unsurprising. Gorillas have a genuine sense of humor. Had Mary and Cooper have known, King Kong might have had a different storyline. Like Exhibit B, watch enough gorilla videos and you'll notice they have an interesting habit of grenading. As in, they'll throw something and immediately run away like Skeletor. Now you could argue it's a territorial, non-verbal way to tell humans to F off, but that goes against my narrative, so I'm gonna disregard it. Also, they've done it so many times exactly like this. It's like, how am I not supposed to see this as a prank? And if you need more proof, Coco, the sign language speaking gorilla, once tied her caretaker's shoelaces together and then signed the word chase. Now I know there's been a dispute as to whether Coco actually learned sign language or was just a master mimic that learned sign language the same way dogs learn words like sit. There's a much more nuanced conversation to be had on whether Coco was a genuine case of comprehension or just memorization and regurgitation. But that's not why I'm mentioning her here. It's because she was involved in one of the most absurd lawsuits I've ever read. In 2005, 3 female former staff members filed a lawsuit against the Gorilla Foundation, because allegedly Coco was demanding that the workers flash her, and no, I do not mean with lights. According to Nancy Alperin and Kendrick Keller, program director Francine Patterson told them that Coco had an obsession of the mammary variety, and pressured them to expose their upper halves to the gorilla, even implying that their jobs would be
Smart gorilla.
if they refused. They refused. And some of the quotes that will come out of this suit are almost too ridiculous to be real. And apparently Coco did not discriminate, with one man recounting a time Coco went up to him and demanded to see his human headlights, at a party no less. He didn't even say no, he said later, and according to him, Patterson put an arm around him and basically hit him with the, "Do you really want to say no to her?" There were other complaints like unpaid overtime, dangerous work environment, them apparently storing gorilla urine in the same fridge they ate out of, but none as outrageous as the 350-pound bosom bandit. Especially when you find out Patterson would switch up majorly when big-time donors came around. What do I mean? Well, apparently whenever Coco would make one of her requests in front of a possible benefactor, Patterson would just say, "Oh, you know, nipple sounds like people." So what she's really saying is she wants to see more people. Yeah, they should have read the verdict right there, because who even lies like that? I don't think that's how sign language works. The case was settled out of court, so I guess we'll never know, but to be fair, how would multiple people lie about something like that? It means gorillas are the only animals to be formally accused of harassment of the sensually explicit kind. It also proves that gorillas are just like us. They can multitask and focus on 2 things at once. I mean, they only share 98% of our DNA, and for the loud minority that's gonna somehow take offense, or, you know, make it racist, because, you know, I read the comments. I challenge you to spend a day watching a gorilla gorilla and tell me it's not an impulsive human in a fur suit. Like, I bet half y'all didn't even realize that's a gorilla walking in the background. Yeah, this was a pretty unserious video for a remarkably unserious creature. The point wasn't really to Disneyfy a wild animal. That's arguably as bad as turning them into monsters. But there is so much more to gorillas than a fade with Godzilla or the US Army, and I kinda wanted to show that. Especially when you realize gorillas have been getting slaughtered for as long as we've known about them, for bushmeat, for trophies, pets, and sometimes just for the sport, so us calling them dangerous is kinda wild. But I get it. Talk is cheap when it's in front of a green screen. So if this video gets 200,000 likes, I will meet a gorilla in person. Somewhere. Or an orangutan, and that works too. But until then, drink water, hug your mother, never smile at a gorilla. Fun fact, clearing your throat sends a much better message. And I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
as
very
always.
good.
It's a great video, that,
Super,
isn't
isn't
it?
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorillas are great, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, I do love it.
You can see the fascination.
Yeah, it's got a great sense of humour by the look of it as well.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
hilarious. The things that they're doing, they're pinching her and everything. Absolutely brilliant. So human-like.
Absolutely brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. A lot of stuff in there I didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very informative, but it's great the way he does it.
So when next
Really
time
good.
someone says to you, you got balls bigger than King Kong, go.
It's an
nah.
insult.
Yeah, it's an insult. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, don't buy it. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
though. Enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
Cheers.